Hello there, welcome to Heart Explained Therapy, and I want to tackle PTSD. Now, this is going to be difficult because I have a theory myself from my personal experience, and there's a couple of beliefs out there that just because they're not out there, it can sound like I'm being offensive because you've probably never heard it before. But it's my personal opinion, it might not be factual or true, I accept that. This is my disclaimer, but from my personal experience, this is my explanation, and I think it's a good understanding of the mind and the feelings and the emotions. I'm going to say, could PTSD actually be an addiction to fear? Now, I've not been a soldier, so I can't ever say what that feeling's like. The closest I've got to what they experience, which is nothing like it, so I'm not trying to sound good, but I've worked as a prison officer for a year in prison. It's a dangerous environment where you're in lots of dangerous situations, and eventually I did get assaulted and had a traumatic experience from that. What I think actually happens when you have PTSD is, I think that you get used to a certain chemical being produced in your body based on the actual fear that you're in at the time. Now, a lot of soldiers out there aren't going into battles and wars and even sort of events where they are scared, they're not trembling, they actually enjoy it. Now, the reason for this is all that training. They have been trained to be a weapon and an important tool, not just fighting and using a gun or a tank. There's other areas where they have to be great communicators. They have to somehow not be completely and utterly obsessed with death and killing people. They have to do this job like me and you would do a normal job, the postman and that. This is their day job. Now, where the difference comes in, and I've only had a tiny experience of this because, I mean, there's not many jobs out there where you walk in and you have to say that, you know, if you're not on the metal today, you could lose your life. It's just, you know, not many people do that sort of job. And the ones that do, I would say, through my experience, you get you learn to handle fear and control it, and you feel like you're fearless. But your body, to cope with all that sort of life and death scenarios that you're going to be involved in, will actually do something, so you heighten all your senses. I would say it was adrenaline, I would say it would be your sort of chemical cocktail to be that superhuman that makes you think clearly, that makes you be rational when you've got all this sort of madness going on. I mean, these people are getting involved in stuff that what films or nightmares are made of, and they're doing it on training and acting out this behaviour. Now, if they do this for a long amount of time, this fear instinct will come on. They'll be unconscious of it. They'll be conscious when it's gone from like the back of the barracks and it's quite safe and it's only a 4 out of 10 that they really have to use this feeling. And then other times when they get a sort of radio call or something where they know that they're going into a certain environment, it would go up to 8, 9, and at the extreme point under fire, I would expect it to be to 15 out of 10. No matter how good you are and how calm you are and how used you get to that over time, there will still be a reaction in you that produces chemicals for your survival. And like I say, it's for all the senses to really be working for you to not not be able to hold your gun. When you get nervous, you turn into a bag of jelly, and that wouldn't be any good to somebody going into an area where you have to save somebody, or where you have to basically, I don't know the army, sort of language, but all of these events, you're not going in there with your knees trembling and but inside, deep down, because you want to get back to your family and your loved ones, you don't want to die. Nobody really wants to die. And this is what's going on. Now with PTSD, it seems that this isn't spoke about in this way. And I say why it's important. If you understand now, outside, and you've got diagnosed with PTSD and you're having all mental health problems because of it, and it's affecting your relationship, and you're turning to drink, or you're doing bad things because of this. If you understand it from this perspective, and again, this will work if you don't believe it to be true, just open your mind for 1 second that this could be what's happened. You have actually got addicted to the chemical reaction of you feeling fear in an environment where you presumed you was completely fearless. What you need to do now is, this PTSD is actually an energy that's making you feel shit. It's actually taking so much away from your life. If you can harness all of the training and everything you did as a soldier to make you fearless, you would do the same thing, right? If you can do the same thing with PTSD as the sort of enemy, and that means that you're going to tackle this PTSD as if it's your enemy, but not to destroy it. This is to use this PTSD to shift the energy, so it's sort of, I know this isn't going to really make sense, but I like to see as when I've had this PTSD energy that drains me and causes me to do demotivated things in my life, I've realised that trying to hate it and take it away and rush it out of the brain is just no good. It just grows and grows and grows. I do this symbolic gesture of making the energy of the PTSD come around my physical body, and I use the energy to push into a direction that serves me better than mental health, better than negative behaviour. Now, when you have the first signs of PTSD, it might be further down the rabbit hole that you're aware of that's what it is. But at the first point of PTSD, I think that your body is trying to say that you have not had this flight or fight response for so long, and you used to have it every single day. There was 2 months where you had it every single day, and that was your tour of Afghanistan or your tour of Iraq. And you're not producing this now, so you've produced it for a long time, and your body doesn't get this drug that you're used to, so you've become an addict. And you look at real life and you wonder why this feeling's coming in, because it's not a fearful situation, it's not life or death, but your body is trying to replace your modern day story out of the army and replace it with this that produces this chemical. Take the energy from that and make it serve you. Write a list of your 10 favourite things of what you can do, and it could be go for a walk, it could be doing artwork, it could be writing, it could be setting up your own business, it could be new ideas, it could be a family stuff. Every time you get your feeling of PTSD at its strongest point, you will take your son or your daughter to the park, and that will be your day together in the moment with fight or flight. You will harness the sort of really bad feelings and behaviour and turn it into a positive. Now, once you do this once or twice, I can guarantee you, once you know that you've managed to do something positive with the PTSD at its worst, if you like, this will make your mind connect with your body to tell you that actually you don't need this drug anymore. The drug that you actually need is this positive love that you give out in your worst case scenario. And this energy is so powerful if used properly. And that's not destroying your enemy, it's using it to help you drive forward. Now there's a story about this in sort of every sort of movie that I think highlights PTSD, but I don't even think writers know that they're talking about it. But in every sort of major sort of blockbuster movie, there's a hero that drives and tries to kill the enemy, the bad one, the PTSD. What usually happens is they find out that this PTSD, this enemy, is actually, or was, an actual nice thing. It is actually the father in Star Wars, or somebody who's actually wasn't evil to begin with, like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and that actually this evil has possessed them and is making them carry out the actions. And if you do the same things, you become that darkness. And what I'm saying is, you can actually take all of that energy, and I know that you suffer from PTSD worse than me. My PTSD was formed on an assault in a prison, and this is my introspection on my personal PTSD. So it might not make any sense, and it might be related to the stuff that you've seen. I'm not taking any of that away, but I'm just saying there's a great way that you can harness negativity and form it into positivity. It's highlighted in every movie we've ever watched. In the end, half of the time they actually don't kill evil or overcome evil in the way that you think, and sometimes the evil person turns out to be the good person that joins the crew and the team to drive forward. And I think that is actually a psychological sort of instinct in us, a story, if you like, a kind of inbuilt dogma of survival that we have, and we create and we write with it. You use the PTSD energy, that rather than let it and allow it to do everything bad, turn it a couple of times when you can into a positive mechanism, and you will start to see that you retrain the mind to not produce these chemicals for an experience of I'm going into a dangerous situation, but you turn it into I'm going to the park, I'm going for a walk. Even if you need to be on your own, this is your time to be on your own. Be on your own with PTSD as your friend, and you will start to then turn the tide. And the more that you do this, I would say it's so liberating that eventually the snowball of the mental health that used to come from it, and the extra behaviours and the drinking and all the negative stuff that can come from PTSD, turns into a snowball the opposite way, and is actually beneficial to you. You are now doing something in the dark place that is amazing, and it's good for your well-being, and it allows you to turn the tide and progress. And one of the biggest things which I think is curative for mental health is awareness. Being aware that that experience is actually just a perfectly okay mechanism producing a perfectly okay chemical, that unfortunately you forgot to tell your mind and body that you don't need it. It doesn't know that you're on leave. It doesn't know that you don't actually have to fight anybody anymore. And this, as silly as it sounds, is something that you have to relearn, retrain and tackle using all those skills that you actually learnt in the army. It's just now that you're not facing a person, a country, a nation, a set of bad guys. You are facing your own mind in your, if you like, PTSD. And this time, the great news is, it's not fight or flight. It's not life or death, and you don't have to kill it. You have to get it to join you, behind you, by the side of you, and walk into the battle together. I hope this has been explained and articulated it in the way that I wanted to do. It's my experience. The theory might not be true, but I would like to know if it is helpful and if it makes any sense. And maybe it's already out there and I just haven't found it.